I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't ask for help, and I didn't know that so many resources existed. And I just wish that, number one, I would have done a better job of that. But number two, that like I did have a mentor, I did have a coach, I did have somebody to help me, because there's so many misconceptions.
It's time to build wealth with less hustle and more self-care.
Listen in as real estate investors, Rianna, that's me,
And Caitlin, that's me,
help you get invested while staying rested.
let's do this thing.
Yay.
Hi friends, welcome back to Invested and Rested. I'm here today with Rianna, and we're gonna talk all about her investing story and how she got started and all the ups and downs and where she's at today. So Rianna, just start us off at the beginning.
Yeah, so much to tell. So I'm Minnesota born and raised, and I grew up in a small town, and then I moved to Minneapolis suburbs, basically, after I graduated from college. When I was in college, I really realized I didn't want to work for somebody else. I always felt like I had an entrepreneurial spirit. A lot of my family is self-employed. And I didn't, even though they didn't invent any products, I kind of thought, like, in order to work for yourself, you have to invent something, which is funny. I'm like, where did I get that from? I couldn't think of anything to invent or like to modify. I didn't know how to do patent or anything, but real estate always kind of like stuck around in the back of my mind. I did sales for a little bit. Actually, during college, I sold Cutco knives, which I'm not sure if you even knew that, but okay, yeah, I love selling knives.
Our family was sold to and had them.
They're great knives.
They are, yeah.
And yeah, so I did really well with that. I had a lot of fun, but I realized, I was like, okay, you have to keep selling the same product over and over again. So I kind of feel like I still have a job at the end of the day. I'm tied to it. I can't just go on vacation and get paid while I'm on vacation. So then I was like, well, that kind of stinks, even though it's fun to be able to set my own schedule. This isn't totally what I'm looking for. And then in college, I was involved in an MLM for a little bit. I mean, it is cool. There's some people that like I started with that are doing really well. But again, you're completely tied to it for the rest of your life if you want to keep making money. And I wanted something where I could really just be free. And I'm like, everyone thought I was ridiculous. Like, okay, great. You want to live the good life. You just want to go on vacation all the time while you're making money. Sweet. That's not how it works. And I'm like, yes, it does. Let me figure this out. And what's funny kind of going along with that same thing, I was like, I really want to work remote. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to work for where I want. People are like, okay, you're in your 20s. What are you thinking? And now look at everybody works remote these days.
Everybody. Yep.
Like,
my husband was
like
there with his corporate.
That's how it works out now. I'm like, people thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I guess I'm remote, but I'm still fairly local. But yeah, real estate always kind of stuck in the back of my mind. And there was somebody in college that her parents bought a place. She has no idea that this story even impacted me. I should probably reach out to her. But her parents bought a place. She had a room in that house and then rented the other rooms so that they, what I would assume, is have a free place to live. And then I think she had a little sister that maybe lived in the house too. I'm like, wow. And I'm here paying rent to somebody. Obviously this is a business for him because he has all these little triplexes, fourplexes and stuff around. So I was pretty sick of my job, and I was kind of going back and forth and doing different things, and I stopped working in a cube farm, what I like to call it, like just a bunch of cubicles. Like, I can't do this. So I'm like, I'm going to just go be a server for a while. At least I can be on my feet and I can go talk to different people and not feel like I'm in a queue. I was like, okay, great. I'm going to get into property management so that I can learn a little bit more about how investing works, and see if I even like it. And I will get paid to learn, because I didn't really know about the internet or like there just wasn't as much information that was available. And honestly, I don't think I tried hard enough to Google things. So I started in property management with the goal of buying my first house and then having roommates to help pay for my mortgage. Because again, I was not in my hometown. I didn't have connections for people to help me like fix stuff around the house. I didn't know how to be a homeowner either. So I'm like, great, I will meet contacts while I'm there.
Yeah.
And then a few months after starting, I purchased my first house, which now we know is called house hacking, where there's so many different ways to do it, but how I did it was, I had roommates. It was a 3-bedroom, so I had 2 roommates that helped pay for the mortgage. And that was kind of my test to see, okay, can I do I like this? Is it weird that people are in like my space? Would I want to do this again? Yeah, my aunt actually told me, she's like, you might not like having people in your space. Well, I never lived in it by myself, and I always had roommates before that. So to me, yes, there are some things where I'm like, keep these floors clean, or, little kind of like, super organized always by nature. So something in my mind clicked of like, okay, this is mine, keep this in good condition and whatnot. And that went well. It was a good test. I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm ready to buy another one. I was about ready to reach out to my realtor. And then a house on the same block came available. So I called him up and I was like, we need to see this house. I need this house. This is the one. It's like, okay, hold your horses. I'm out of town for a couple days. And I was like, I can't wait. But I waited. We had multiple offers at the time. That was like, I don't know, 2017 or something. And we thought the market was so crazy with all these multiples. We had no idea what the next few years were going to look like.
Yeah, seriously.
It's just funny. Even on my house that I bought to live in, it had multiple offers too, which was like 3. And I was still able to get it at asking price, and they paid closing costs.
Oh my gosh.
Which,
wow.
From the last few years is a little bit trickier.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From there, I continued to work different jobs in property management.
What did you do with that house? Did you rent it out completely? So one family
a bunch
or
of roommates.
Okay.
So it was 4 roommates.
Did you do individual leases or a master lease?
Yeah,
Okay.
master lease. I didn't know necessarily about renting things out by the room, but that was my take on. I like that they're roommates because there's 4 different incomes, there's 4 different people. And actually that house would have been really great for renting it by the room because they stayed there until I sold in 2021. I don't remember which year. I think it was 2021, but they stayed, but they did a lot of like roommate swap out. So somebody would move out. They'd be like, hey, great, I already found a new renter. They want to move in. Awesome. Send them the application, re-sign the lease, and boom. I don't know how many people were in and out of that house, but I didn't have to worry about it, which was the best part for me. Yeah. And honestly, the house wasn't in the best shape. That's why I didn't want to live there. And ultimately why I decided to sell that place, because I thought, okay, eventually some things are going to start to go wrong. It's going to be really expensive to fix. And these roommates aren't going to stay forever. And they aren't perfect, but they do usually pay the rent on time. And what kind of renter will I get into this space afterwards? Probably not the archetype that I would like to be working with, because I am self-managing everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And neighbors with.
And neighbors with, because I'm like, I can see you. I live on the same block. I know when you're not mowing your lawn. Yeah. I know when you're putting stuff out on the garbage that you shouldn't. And the city is super, super strict about what you're putting in your garbage.
Okay, so now you've got 2 rentals, one that you're living in with roommates and one that you're renting out to roommates.
Yep. So from there, I was still working in property management. My bills are not very high at all because I have roommates paying for my mortgage. I'm paying a little bit, but not too much. And then I have one rental that was cash flowing without the expenses, was like $1,000 a month, which was awesome. I did not end up having a lot of expenses on the place, and therefore to not end up selling it for like a ton of money, because there was definitely some deferred maintenance on the place, but it ended up working out just fine. And sometimes you didn't have to pay it out of pocket. And sometimes I drive by and I'm like, what are they up to? Are they fixing anything up? How does it look? But they got a great deal on the place, and ultimately it worked out for me too. So I was stacking some cash away, still working, and then a duplex came available, and it was actually sitting on the market for like 30 to 45 days, I want to say. And this time it was there was one actually right next to it as well. And at this point, I'm also got my real estate license. So I ended up purchasing one of the duplexes. There's a shared driveway. And then my boyfriend got the other duplex, which originally we were just going to get one together and invest together because, you know, it's a lot to continue to work and save up for these down payments and budget because each down payment isn't cheap. You know, it's been a lot of work to save up for every single one. And then again, I had my real estate license at this time. So then I was able to save a little bit of money on closing and stuff.
Closing. Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, continued to, I stopped doing property management, just did it for myself, got my real estate license, moved over to that, thought that I would learn a lot more as far as like how to be an investor by getting my real estate license. Turns out that wasn't the case, but it's been a lot of fun working with buyers and sellers and helping people get their first homes or helping people start to invest. Ended up selling my house that I was living in. And again, that same one that was on that block, and did a 1031 exchange into another duplex. Continued to like work super hard, save up a lot of money to continue to buy more and more, you know, now knowing so much more about how people have private investors and so many more creative ways to buy. I didn't know those things. So I was like, oh, great. You just got to keep saving up money and saving up money for the next down payment. And how can you get a side job over here? How can you do that to keep saving up? So now we have 12 properties together. And then 2 years ago, we purchased our first commercial project. So that's an office. There's 22 office suites. We also have virtual offices as well for those that have a business that they work from home, but they, you know, don't want their home to show up on Google when you Google. Also, when you get your LLC, everybody can see your information online. You do need to put an address on there, and then you cannot use a PO box. So by using a virtual office, it helps keep your home a little bit more private. You don't have any disgruntled clients, you know, showing up to your house depending on what you do. But that project has been a lot of fun and definitely got me out of my comfort zone and onto the next, what I feel like was level of investing for me. So that one, we didn't really have to put any money down because we were able to use some equity on some other properties that we have. So we're able to purchase this whole office with basically nothing out of pocket, which I thought was just like mind-blowing and amazing. I'm like, I thought you had to be rich to invest in real estate. No, biggest misconception.
No, you have to get started.
Yeah. And then last year we just bought the property right next door to the office. And that was basically, I don't know, like a warehouse kind of. And we're working on remodeling that right now. So we will turn that into 22 more offices.
Yeah, that's a lot. So what are you doing with your duplexes? Are those long-term? Are those short-term? I suppose I didn't mention anything about that, did I? So the two duplexes that we purchased that were right next to each other with a shared driveway, we started off having those as long-term rentals. And again, that's really all we knew. But they're in a good location for short-term rentals, and everybody kept telling us, oh, you should really short-term rent this thing, you know, it's near the airport, it's near the Mall of America. So we do have a lot of visitors that come into this spot, and we were like, no, this was back in 2020, we're like, oh, we totally missed the bucket on that, like, or missed the ball on that. It's past that. If we would have gotten started on that sooner, totally, but you know, we missed it. But then we had a vacancy and we were trying to rent it out, and in 2020 it was really hard to find good renters. So we weren't finding anyone that qualified. And I've never had issues like that trying to rent a place before. And we had extra furniture because I was actually moving out of my house in with my boyfriend. So we're like, this is kind of a perfect way to start because we can use, you don't have to buy some things, but I have a couch, I have a TV, I have a bed. So what's really the risk in trying this? Well, turns out it was absolutely amazing. It totally blew the long-term rentals out of the park. And again, this is like towards the end of 2020 where Airbnb was just like absolutely on fire. Now we do have to work for it a little bit more. It's not just putting an air mattress on the internet and trying to rent it for $150 a night or whatever, which we never had an air mattress. I should probably say that. But the good old days of people just like rented out their room when they left for the weekend. And that was normal. And nowadays it's like, no. You gotta have this fancy looking place, nice decor, and like the personal experience, and you have to be a lot more dialed in to do it. But anyway, so we ended up doing all 4 of those units as
short-term rentals, which has been fun. And like I said, now things have kind of evened out a little bit more in the Airbnb space. So we kind of go back and forth as, does this make sense? Is this really what we want to do long term? I mean, most of the time everything is fine, but when there's a fire, you have to deal with it immediately, even if it's something that's
Drop everything. Yeah.
smaller. Because those guests are only there for so long, they need to get taken care of. So thankfully we haven't had too many serious things, but I mean, we've had our AC go out and it's like in the middle of summer, like, hey, sorry, like you go, we'll refund your money, but we can't get anybody there until tomorrow. And maybe they're only staying one night, or they think it's like the Project X movie and that you can have 1 million people there. And of course you're like out of town at the cabin that weekend and it's 10 o'clock at night. And oh my gosh, there's definitely some crazy stories that have came from that.
Are you interested in real estate investing, but not quite sure where to start? Or maybe you already own some properties, but not sure what to do next? Or are you considering changing your investing strategy from long-term to short-term or single-family to multifamily? Well, let us help.
From now until June 30th, we're running a promotion for one-off coaching sessions. Get personal attention to help make those investing dreams a reality with either Caitlin or Rianna as your coaches. Grab a single session for $100 or one session with each of us for just $150. Go to investedandrested.com for more information. Again, that's investedandrested.com.
And tell us about your cabin.
Yeah, so cabin is another thing that we ended up purchasing, which has been a lot of fun, able to use it a little bit as well. It's about an hour and a half away up north, so it kind of has those up north. Something that happened, I don't know how to explain this. Basically, we ended up purchasing the lot right next door to, we have an extra 3.3 acres right next door. So our next project is maybe to develop something on there, maybe a little glamping area, maybe an actual cabin.
No.
We'll see. You never know. And the cabin is great. It's on a little river. We have a little sauna there. It's on 7 acres. So you get to feel like you're away from everything. There's not all this light pollution. There's not a lot of noise. You just get to be alone. I've always wanted to have a place on the lake, and I still do. But my problem with that is you're so close to everybody. Everybody can still see what you're doing. All of your neighbors still know everyone's business. Totally. You can't go sit outside really by yourself.
Be in peace.
But we're absolutely surrounded by trees. Hardly anybody is ever kayaking or canoeing down the river. Like, only a handful of times have I actually seen people go down there. So we never have anybody in our yard.
Nice.
We'll have to have you over.
That's great. One day. I'm coming. I want to see the snow.
Not in the snow. I don't want to be here anymore in the snow either.
Yeah. No, actually, I want to go see it.
Oh. I won't be here.
But it's exciting for me. It's not exciting.
Yeah, we'll block it off for you. You can come in, trade out for a little bit.
So tell us what's next. I mean, I know you're still working on your office. Like, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, or like what you envision your project being after that?
Yeah. So the office is definitely an area that's been outside of our comfort zone, which I get bored really easily. I like to try new things, and I can like to continue to learn. So some people would probably judge my portfolio or things that I've done, saying I'm probably, oh, you're not focused enough, you're too all over the place. When an opportunity presents itself, I don't say no. Yes, I've been on this straight path of like, hey, you need to save up 25% to buy a house, and then you get to rent it out. When you find something, a strategy that works better for you, and also maybe a little bit less money to put down so you don't have to keep grinding so hard, I'm going to make that shift.
Yeah.
And it's same with the Airbnbs. It's like, gosh, why don't we just give this a shot? When something isn't working, I'm okay with making a pivot. So with that,
totally.
I'm continuing to learn each step of the journey, which right now is hiring a contractor to do the complete build out of the offices. So a lot of planning. Thankfully, we have an awesome contractor. Like, it definitely didn't start out this way. So we were going to be working with someone else. That was about half the price, which is what we got approved. We got approved for a little bit more than that. Our construction costs are all included in the loan, which is awesome. We thought that it was going to be golden. We had everything all figured out. Months later, once we were ready to get started on the project, I don't remember exactly how it started, but we had a gut feeling of like, I don't think this is going to work. Something isn't matching up here. And there were a lot of like, oh shit moments what are we going to do? Should we do this ourselves? If we go with someone else, it's going to be twice the price. We don't really have the budget for that, but we need to get this done. Going back and forth on all of that of, okay, who are we going to work with? Maybe we should try to do this. Absolutely not. Do not try to do commercial by yourself. It is extremely frustrating, and just learning about like the city code and what's required. No, thank you. Definitely need to stay in your lane at some point and start working with other people if you want to optimize things. Yeah, now we're working with someone else. So as of the moment, it's pretty hands off. It's just working on getting our name out there a little bit more, so that when it is ready in the fall or end of summer, that we'll be ready to go and we can start pre-leasing some stuff. I'm very excited. It's been my main focus this year is to just get that done, and then also to not have to be here for the winter. The snow is cold. Minnesota is cold. I don't want to be here. It's like I just have 2 goals. Let's get the office done. Let's get it all leased up. And then let's go somewhere warm. I don't care where we go. Just no snow, please. And maybe some sunshine. That would be great too.
Go back to the snow.
After that, it's really about how can we continue to add to our portfolio to meet our cash flow goals and to meet the lifestyle that we want. It's not about having the most amount of doors and having the biggest ego and owning the most or having a bunch of billboards in the area. It's about, okay, is this going to make sense for the lifestyle that we want? For example, Airbnb, for a little bit, it seemed like, gosh, I would be able to not work or rely on a 9-to-5 or a 24/7, like as is real estate, to if we only had a few Airbnbs, because that's what the market was at that time. Interest rates were like 3.5%. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different, but it was, okay, great. That might be, the quote unquote answer for the moment to get us to that next level that we want. Obviously, now trying out Airbnb, maybe that's not exactly where we want to be.
Manager, so you're not dealing with the daily fires and you more oversee it from afar.
Yeah. So now it's just about, okay, what sounds fun and exciting to us that also makes business sense, and like we will have some sort of financial gain, of course, from this too, but with also providing like a fair service. So right now thinking of, okay, if we develop that land next summer, that would be super fun. We would get to spend some time up north working on that. And if we did glamping, for example, nothing is really set in stone, but spilling the tea on what our plans are is if we do some sort of like glamping, which I still do need to check with the city and everything. I do think it's fine, but we'll check it out. That would be fun because that's just for the summer too. So adding on Airbnb guests that are on vacation is also a lot different than in the city sort of guests that we get. And so I with working with the cabin, we have a pretty good idea, I think, on what that will look like from a communication standpoint, on how much we'll need to be on and like available with our phones and the systems that we have in place up there, which I think will work out really well. Otherwise, we could also do like a cabin, but we're still deciding on what, like I said, what sounds fun and what makes sense for those next steps. And then I think once we get to the cash flow goals that we're looking for, then we will hire a property manager. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for that.
Yes.
I mean, I've been doing property management since 2015 in some capacity. So I'm excited to have some systems in place instead of taking that on. And then from there, which, I mean, we're already starting this podcast, and the coaching calls is giving back and helping others and maybe partnering with others as well. That probably will be a little bit further down the line. But I'm excited to just teach other people and help other people on their journeys. I mean, this has been a lot of work, but also so impactful and amazing that I want everybody to have the opportunity to do this. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't ask for help, and I didn't know that so many resources existed. And I just wish that, number one, I would have done a better job of that. But number two, that like I did have a mentor, I did have a coach, I did have somebody to help me, because there's so many misconceptions. Like I said, like the first one is, oh, you have to have money. Oh, are you rich? Oh, this, that. Like, no, I'm just a normal person, as is every other investor out there.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I just saw exactly that yesterday when like my 7-unit deal is going south, and I'm like, can you get on the
Yeah.
phone? Talk about this. And it was just so nice to have somebody that I could talk the issues through with and get some advice and see it from an outside perspective in. And I'm excited to be able to help people with that too, because it's hard when you're in it. And real estate is just like, it's not for the faint of heart, but you can do it in a way that is sustainable and fun and allows you to get the life that you want. And that's what we're doing, but it's a lot easier to do with friends, with
It
mentors.
is so much, easier to do where you have other people in your corner. I mean, there's nothing that you can do completely by yourself. Even think about like going to college, for example. Like you're probably asking people, oh, where do I go? Or helping you with different things or whatever. I don't know. Like college came up as an example. I can't even think about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had somebody review my college essay. Like my mom's friend that was an English teacher. She reviewed my essay for me. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's okay to ask for help. I feel like as entrepreneurs, we don't have college for that. We don't have this roadmap, and people spend tons of money to go to college and get a job, which is a totally fine route. I did it and you did it too. But it's like, yeah, getting help for real estate is also a great way to do it and be able to do it faster and with less stress.
Yeah, once I started bringing people into my corner, I'm like, wow, actually, let's use this as an example of setting up LLCs in the correct way that you should. So I procrastinated a lot on getting some of this stuff set up. Is it like absolutely dire that it was set up? No, obviously everything worked out totally fine and it's okay. But I was just continuing to procrastinate on setting up some of this business entity stuff. What took me literally years to make a decision on, I just called Caitlin. Well, I voice messaged her, probably a 4-minute message.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to do this. My deadline for myself is by the end of the year, whatever it was. Like, I don't know what to do. Can you help me? What is your insight? And she's like, yep, just do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, that just took me 2 seconds because I actually asked for your help and instead of trying to figure this out by myself.
Normally I wouldn't have had that answer, but I literally had to just do it too.
But if it wasn't you, then I could have asked
But yeah,
somebody
there's
else.
all these random. Yeah, there's so much random stuff that you don't think about that you're going to have to do. And then you don't end up doing it. Like, I didn't make an operating agreement for my first partnership, and it's fine. And we have one now. But, like, just stuff like that you don't always know you need to do. And all the steps you got to, all the ducks in a row you got to get and whatnot. So,
And the accountability piece of, okay, sometimes it's like, you know how to do it. You just don't actually do it. And you procrastinate or you put it off. Or it's not that much fun, whatever it is. There's always things that everybody is putting off when you're working with other people. Ooh, definitely tends to work better, especially for me. I'm like, I just need to tell you I'm going to do this and then I can actually get it done.
yeah, I can attest to helping you get your taxes done on time.
Yes, thank you. I was on seriously cloud 9 that week. I'm like, I don't remember the last time that our taxes were done on time and paid on time because we pay in. And that was so nice. Also, my continuing education was all complete months in advance. I don't even know when it's due, but it's still actually not due yet. But I got it done well before the deadline. Turning a new leaf. This is fun.
All because we're doing it together.
Yes.
Awesome.
Something I wanted to mention that kind of goes with the procrastination piece of when working with a team, and maybe I just wasn't ready to hear it, but I actually was introduced to Bigger Pockets, which is an investing platform basically, or educational platform, and I was introduced to them back in 2018. And some tenants came in, they're like potential future tenants came in and did a showing. They're like, oh, is this what we're gonna do? It's like, wow, awesome, that sounds great. I want to learn more about it, and show me the website. And I was like, I just didn't understand anything that was on it because I only had such a traditional route to understanding what investing was that I just like completely shut it down. And then years later, I heard their podcast and I'm like, oh, this all makes so much more sense. And then kind of skyrocketed from there. And that's why I don't say no to opportunities now when they come up.
Yeah. Because you never know what is out there. And you got to keep things interesting. I think we both have a lot of... You're not Sagittarius, but you're close enough.
Yeah. You have some of those traits.
Yeah. Thanks, Rianna, for sharing your story. I'm sure some people will connect with it. And I know that both of us are just excited to talk with you more, teach you everything we know, and also bring on some amazing guests that will also teach you what they know and tell their story and inspire you. And anything else you want to add?
Yes, thanks so much for letting me share my story, and excited for this journey of helping so many other people along theirs as well. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments, like what are you procrastinating on? What do you need help with? We want to know, and that's what we're here for, so that we can help you. We're not just doing this for fun, even though it is a lot of fun. We're doing this so that we can help you and help you get better along your journey.
Yeah. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, or if you're listening to our podcast, go over to Instagram at Invested and Rested and leave us a comment, send us a DM, and we're on there and happy to talk with you more.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye, friends. Thanks, friends. That's the episode for today. We so appreciate you being here with us, and we'd love if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe for future episodes, and check the show notes to sign up for the waitlist for our retreats and future coaching programs. Stay rested, friends, and talk soon.